Good night to you all. On my left, Elisângela, my interpreter. Our Ministry of Economy, Paulo Guedes. I can call you Ipiranga gas station. Is there any problem? So, we'll start a live stream. We'll talk a lot about economy today. For the first time, Northeast region cannot do Festa Junina party. Is a very popular party with millions, but due to health issues, we will not have this party at the Northeast region. Gilson is here, president of Embratur, playing the accordion, talks a lot of languages. We're proud of him. He's making a show on tourism. We grew 10%, he was flying. And then there was this virus and put tourists down there. Suffered a lot. We'll talk about it during our conversation. I would like to ask Gilson here. Many radio shows at 6 p.m. plays Ave Maria. Now it's 7 p.m. And we would like to pay an homage to the ones that are dead, victims of coronavirus. And Gilson will play Ave Maria to us. Thank you, Gilson. Good news before using Paulo Guedes to talk about economy. It was approved in the chamber yesterday. The bill changing the national code of traffic among the measures, 10 years now, the validity of the driver's license. The initial proposal we had, it would be until 65 years old, but the chamber decided on 50. It's an advance also. But something that interests to us is the ones working, the drivers, truck drivers, alternative transportation. It's very easy to have a trafficking infraction because of the Brazilian raiders and losing 20 points on his driver's license. So the chamber approved. So now it's 40 points. It's a welcoming measure. About the fixed raiders, we had to have at least 19,000 radars in Brazil. But the justice decided 1,900, and next week Tarcísio will come here to explain that. A survey will be online with the geographic coordinates of these radars. So a radar is not foreseen in this area. Probably it's a fake one. So if it's a fake one, it has not to exist. We will remove this radar. So congratulations to the chamber by the approval of the bill dealing with the changes in the driver's license. Next week, probably Tarcísio will come here. Do you allow me? Yesterday, request for approval to pave the first 500 kilometers from Porto Velho to Manaus cities. It was abandoned in the 70s. Now we can traffic on there, no traffic. A lot of bridges destroyed for many reasons, and the nature as well made it all of it to be lost. It's not it's not a commitment. If we have the resources, we'll do the work. I can imagine if we had 30 millions, what we could do, but we don't have this resource. Brazil has to grow up a little bit more so we can invest better. The request for proposal was released and the first 552 kilometers. Minister of Education, the new one, Carlos Decotelli, was presented today. Obviously, a very hard decision to make. Four candidates, four exceptional people, among them a young man, Renato Feder, Secretary of Education in Paraná State, a great job. Congratulations from Paraná for having a so qualified professional. We chose Carlos Alberto Decotelli because of his age, with an extensive curriculum, but also the other ones are really good. Renato and other two ones that were presented as applicants to be Ministry of Education. Was a hard choice, all of them with exceptional resumes. Good luck to Carlos Alberto Decotelli. Economic Science, Getúlio Vargas, master's degree, doctor from University of Rosario, Argentina, postdoctorate, Wuppertal University in Germany. Hold on, Paulo. I think it seems that soccer teams are happy with the provisional measure. For example, a football match, Bangu team and Vasco team. The one that has the image right can sell with any TV channel he wants. Flamengo and Corinthians. Flamengo will decide which TV channel will sell his right of image. Why is this good? People want to broadcast his match because he has a good player, but when a team is accommodated and is the honor, he is not having a good money to broadcast the image of its team. So I think it's a good thing. Do you cheer from Flamengo? I cheer for Palmeiras. Both teams have the biggest payroll. I think Flamengo. Yeah, Flamengo is good now. Botafogo is lowing some money for you on Flamengo. Flamengo and Botafogo and more. This provisional measure gives right to the teams getting field. The ones in field, they will have 5% of the revenue to share in equal way to all the players. It's a new incentive so the teams can play even better. And in the end, the finals, Palmeiras and Flamengo. I will make it right to Palmeiras delegation. So we'll raise the cup of two times champion in Brazil. It was cancelled. FIFA canceled the World Cup just because Palmeiras would win it again. We have the leadership on the chamber, Major Vitor Hugo, Special Forces of Brazilian Army. I would like to pay my tribute. And for his two brothers, his father passed away. It's a sad moment to anyone. Major Vitor Hugo, we are grieving for the death of your father. God has him in heaven. Now, most interesting agenda. Paulo, help me, please. Let's talk about The Supreme Court said states and cities had to lead the measures for fighting the virus. We almost exclusively could only give the resources. And the first time, people were at home, who the ones who had the resources that could be at home didn't suffer much in the first time. We had an ad from the part of the government to small and micro companies. I don't know, President, if you are aware that you injected 1 trillion in the economy. 1 trillion. What happened? 2 moments. The moment the wave hit Brazil, you immediately said that no Brazilian person will be behind. So we started to use measures, what could be possible to do without special permission of the Congress. 200 million we did. Soon after, Caixa Econômica Federal Bank made available 100 million in loans, then more 50. So we had 350 billion running. And we did also, we deferred all the taxes, we delayed them. So you don't need to pay tax for a time. And we anticipated reserves for the ones in need. For example, the ones that are retired, we anticipated the last salary of the year. 500 billions extra budget. Then the Congress authorized us to enter in field. So you said, let's put 60 reais, the emergency ad. Victor Hugo called you called me and say, let's pay 600. This was 150 billion. It was not a competition between politicians to reach 500, so let's settle in 600. And Bolsa Família program, which was 200 reais, you made it triple for the invisible ones, people that has never asked help to anyone. The cleaner, the boy in the beach selling soda, the one selling candies in the traffic, people, the taxi drivers that stopped working, we helped them. We paid more for emergential aid to 60 million Brazilians. Next Saturday to the other one, 60 million Brazilians will receive another installment of the emergential aid you determined as no Brazilian person stays behind. At the same time, states and cities also needed money, 20 million directly for transference, fund to fund, 20 million. In summary, 150 billion reais were distributed to states and cities. The money has to go to the edge, where the people is living. More Brazil program, the policy to reinforce the edges. Public safety, health, education. The money has to go to the base. So we had this program to transfer this money. We immediately transfer more, plus 150 billion, and the money to keep the companies working. The most well-succeeded program, 50 billion or so, but it was really successful. In 5 weeks, Americans issued 30 million. We saved 10 million jobs. 10 million jobs with a program called emergential benefit. The companies were not firing. We paid half the salary. 10 million jobs. We only lost 1 million jobs and preserved 10 million. It was really well succeeded. Everybody is complimenting And people are copying. Advanced countries are releasing this program after Brazil. We expected 40 million people would ask for the ad, but in fact, we have 60 million people. The ones who had the money from Bolsa Familia program and the invisible ones appeared, and 40 million. 10 million are really people we need, that need the resource, and the other ones are entrepreneurs. The cleaner, the taxi driver. We are bringing people inside the Congress. People are thanking me for those proposals. All this bureaucracy, this engineering to pay people, and Caixa Econômica Federal, Bank, and DataPrev. It was a digital inclusion, a record one. It was never so fast. The digitalization of 40 million people. We delivered it to Brazilian people, these resources, and in a way it allowed, there was this social assistance, this ad the government gave, so the Brazilian people could not drown in this first wave. We will, it's not defined yet, the numbers, but you will help. In 2 months, emergential ad that will be made in a proper way. It will be 1,200 reais in 3 installments. It must be, we are studying 540, 300 reais. It's a good idea, Mr. President, because we were on 600 yet. And then the economy starts to be recovered again. And people will start to slowly using 600, 500. People from Bolsa Familia program who earns 200 is now earning 1,200 with the program. When it will be 300, it will be 1.5 Bolsa Familia. This is idea is serving the ones in need. I hope the economy come back to work. Sometimes it will take a time. Some companies are broken. Governors and mayors, they have to do what is pertinent to each one. I ask them to start to open the market, make things working again. We are sorry for the debts, but the objective of closing is so the people, when they were contaminated, they could go to the hospital. We have news, true ones, that the hospitals are beds left in hospitals. The contamination is a reality. Nobody's discussing. We understand the doctors, etc. 70% of people will be contaminated. But of course, if the person is under 40 years old and in good health, they will feel, the great majority will feel nothing. There are some health people in the government that was okay. I am 70. Colonel Heleno is 75. He just knew that when he did the test. But there are people, according to the age and kind of disease, and will face a serious issue during the days he has with the virus. The person can be dead. It's a concern. The older ones and the ones with disease. The rest of them, we have to be careful with them. But once the virus, he had the virus, this person will transmit it or will suffer less than a person with this kind of disease. I don't know if I got. I made 2 tests. It was negative. I didn't feel anything. I don't know. I can do it again. I think I did. But it depends on your profile your health life. People with my age, who is not good physically, it has to take care. We cannot have this fear we had in the beginning when the virus arrived. In my understanding, there was an excess of concern. The second wave, the economy wave, what happens? Apparently, we reached the bottom of the well in May. April, we had a reaction when you look to your electrical bill, gas bill. In the first 15 days of June, it was up more than in the whole April. The thing started coming back to normal. In our way, when you extend the emergential aid, we will reach 1 trillion of resources that kept the vital signs. So we could not be down. It not turn into economic depression. So we had the vital signs preserved. At any time we start to move, we reach the bottom of the well, and now we're starting to recover. What is interesting is here we are working. We will surprise the world. 100 million Brazilians that had problems among the crisis, lack of water for 35 million, sewage for 30 million Brazilians. Now we approved the sanitation bill. It was fast. Good, a lot of help. What is happening? We are producing. During this period, we were just complaining and facing the disease. We had a positive agenda also. And after the problem of jobs, we have a lot of good news to bring. And FGTS, we will release. We will also release the FGTS. 30 billion in resources to 60 million people. Starting on Monday, what we could do, in the point of view of the resources, we can release twice more than emerging countries. Your idea of not leaving no Brazilian will left behind. We expanded twice more than the emerging countries and 10% over the advanced ones. Nobody can say that Brazil is not looking to help. The help to states and cities in 2 opportunities. How much? How did we do it? 150 billions. When we started the conversation, the first visit they made to you, we released 50 billion. 8 billions of transfer is money in the vein to help. 8 billions to states and cities. Soon after, 2 billions to the social system, unified system. Public hospitals, those that are kept for entities, for non-profit entities, then 2 millions. Then 16 millions to states and cities that told us the collection will fall. The one from the government fall, but we made a transfer in the same way. A commitment we took with governors, apart from parties, all the governors, all the mayors. Soon after, more, plus 20 million of securitization. And then, interest, debts, in the end, 60 billion free. Because we also had the problem of urban transportation. We need to keep it working. People are social distancing, but some people need to take a bus to visit your mom and go into the hospital. You need the urban transportation. School, a lot of things given on school. Children used to eat on school. We need to keep it working. When we sum it all, 150 billion to states and cities. so much money. We never gave so much money to states and cities. Although the sales are falling, the production kept going. A super harvest. Teresa Cristina assured us from Walton. The farmer didn't stop. The government had a record on the harvest over the harvest of the last year, and Brazil is the only country in the world increasing exports. Since we are keep working, the man in the field, Brazil exports mainly agricultural products, mining also. The Brazilian exports are keep growing. The shock coming from foreign countries did not reach Brazil because of our exports are growing. We can surprise the world. An exit in V. We've reached the bottom, then we came back. We have conditions to come back with the economic recovery before other countries of the world. Well, tomorrow, soon, in the morning, we are going to Ceará, to the city of Jati. We will inaugurate, along with our Ministry of Regional Development, the water reaching Ceará, transposition of San Francisco River. It's my order, decision of the government. We would not stop this work. It's very common when a president took office and this one forgets the last works and start new ones. We could not let it stop. Tomorrow will be, along with Rogério Marinho, our Ministry of Regional Development from Rio Grande do Norte state, inaugurating this new section. And we invite all the governors from Ceará and Pernambuco to be there, or at least at the airport, so we can chat a little bit. The opposition governors, but not our government, we don't have opposition. Clean water, in any sense, clean water is arriving. And people from the Northeast region deserves all the respect. My father-in-law is from Ceará. Ceará tomorrow. Paulo, another thing, Selic rate. I think you wouldn't imagine back there that it would happen. When you took office, you didn't imagine. We had a project, you remember, we have high interests in Brazil. It was a hell of entrepreneurs. So we knew that we would lower interest, but the work is going beyond our expectations, and the interests are going down strongly. And a part of this crisis, but the biggest part of this fall is the economical policy, because we changed. Instead of the government expanding a lot and the private sector constrained, we did the opposite. The government has austerity, is doing what is necessary, taking clean water to the people, things that are important, but it's not expanding with excesses. We end the privileges, the same way wages, the ones that were too high, we hold them down a little bit. And Brazil starts to have resources to invest. This is happening. Let's talk a little bit. Facebook, our Facebook, 79 people online. YouTube, 35,000. Picaduzis, 88,000 in front of us. Jovem Pan News, 16,000. Zé Maria is in there. Fiuza, Augusto Nunes, and the other one, I forget him. Victor Braus. These 4 ones, thank you for following us. We had to have a link so we could answer the questions. For him, not for me. Just for Paulo Guedes. Paulo Guedes, with the Selic rate. Interests are going down, and regarding last year, how much interest? The initial calculations, 140 billion less, but it's falling faster, but it will be more than that. What happened with Brazil? Brazil expanded a lot and badly. The privilege on the social security, interest for dead cats, less 500 million a day. We're paying less because the government now is expanding less but better. You are taking clean water there. And on the other hand, we are paying less expenses with interests, and the excess we have on the social security privileges. We will not sacrifice future generations to keep the privileges. Our government is spending less but with better quality. This is happening all the fronts. In 1 year and a half, all the state companies better managed. Caixa Econômica Federal Bank is way better. Petrobras is way better. Everything is working better. Now we have to change it in resources so we can reach the people. Pedro, what you're talking about? 3%. When we took office, the special interests are in 14% a month. Now it's 3% in a month. It's a huge difference, of course. We don't want nobody in debt because this bank has a record profit in the last years, twice regarding the last year. Let's change it into work and decrease it, or decrease to 2.5%. People, please don't enter in debt. The interest, you are in banks with high interest. Go to Caixa Econômica Federal. I never had to use this interest. I never had debt. As president, I don't pay anything almost as a president. I live really well in here. 3 corporative cards I have. People think that I pay expense with my wage. There are hotels who cost 30 million reais. 30,000 reais. The rate. It's fact. I would never do it with my own money. I would sleep in the bus. I would not pay 30,000. There's no discussion. I take my lunch to travel, so I don't eat out. I'm a witness. When we were traveling, he had an operation. 10 p.m. He said, in the airplane, he said, let's leave, President, let's leave. And he said, he entered in the airplane, there was a room, and said, no, I'm not going, I will sleep sitting down with you all. He slept with everybody sitting down, and he has operated, nobody has this bag you have. Let's go to take a rest, but he didn't go. November 2014, I decided to run for presidency. I was in at the gym, and people in an academy, in the graduation of an academy. I was there. And then I said to the new ones, I said I would take my life, put my life in risk, but I would run for the presidency in 2018. I was in Cuiabá City, Mato Grosso State, and around 1 a.m., you're really tired, and I was taking photos, 500 photos, 2017 it was, and there was a man down there who did everything. Receptionist, cook, the waiter, a humble man who earned 1 wage a month. We started to chat, and at a moment I said I was running for the presidency, and his hotel was a humble hotel. I will not talk. It was a bad one, but it's a humble hotel, and the rate would be like 120 reais. And he laughed. He said, when you are running for president, you have a huge of people around. And he said, I asked him, what is more difficult? I be president or you buying the hotel? And then I'm here. I hope you manage to buy the hotel. If you make an effort, if you I have to know if this is a good question. Augusto Nunes, please, don't make Paulo Guedes seem bad. You can reach your goal. A question from Augusto Nunes. Minister Paulo Guedes, is it possible to calculate the fall of the GDP in this year? It's a pleasure to talk to you because you announced the President Bolsonaro has invited me to be a minister. I remember that. And I owe you a visit so we can talk. I'm so drowned into the measures in here that I have no time to give interviews. I don't believe. The economy is a living organism. It's very difficult to foresee the effect of the virus over a particular organism. The economy is a living organism. What we learn in economic theory about forecasting is there are times there's a breach in all the parameters. The models stop working when you have a shock. I don't believe in the forecasts made because we are living organisms, living bodies. If the disease recedes rapidly, we can, an example, today I knew we were following the water, electricity bills only 4% under the same 20 days of June the last year. If you take your electric bill, Brazil is under only 40%. We're saying that the GDP would fall 10, but now we're falling only 4%. We can have a shock. All the models used for forecasting fail because there's a regime change, a crisis that never happened before. Nobody knows the answer. So people start to guess. -1, -4, -10, F. I think they will be wrong. I think it will be less. These forecasts they are doing, including the girl who did the forecast, I like her. A girl from Korea who is starting the profession. She didn't know anything about Brazil when she talked to me. I think she'll be in problems in there with the forecast she did. But let's see. I will not say she was wrong. I think it's not possible to make a forecast in a moment like this. It depends on a lot of people. That's why the president says, we have to come back because we are a living organism. 3 years is depression. It's guaranteed. 3 years at home, stopping production, it's a limit. The other limit, if we leave tomorrow, maybe the disease can spread a little faster. It's difficult. President, when he said in 2 hours, first the problem on health, then economy. If it's everybody stopped, so we'll have the money that we injected, 1 trillion circulating, but the shelves will be empty. The men of the field, the farmers, they are in the field, the open field, distant from everybody. They could cap the production and they are saving Brazil. When we talk about the farm in some states, it was forbidden to go to the beach, but now they say, the World Health Organization say that it's good to be at the sun. How many wrong things were made during the pandemic? People from I don't know, it's they don't want it or lack of information. Everything we do is seen as a negative way. Ambassadors of Brazil, one from France, from this environmental issue, along with Minister Ernesto, we're ready to her to travel to Amazon, the Air Force airplane. We could go there, fly over Amazon to show her and taking people from the press to show the reality of what is going on in Brazil. Nobody preserves so much the environment as us. Our territory is preserved in a way or another. The forests along the rivers, we are paying a high price. Last year we have an average under the one of the last years of fires. But people are talking like we were putting fire on the Amazon as a whole. Another question from Zé Maria. Hello, Zé Maria. President is good, and Minister Paulo Guedes is there. The Supreme Court forbids the possibility of reducing the work journey and consequently the wage reduction. Defined that the powers will keep the budget apart from the collection. How will it reflect on the public money? I have been talking to the President about that. The public opinion in general thinks that when we are doing sacrifices, it had to be shared. So the public opinion thinks that it's natural, the same way that the private sector, there's falling wages, there are people losing jobs, etc. The public sector has to give a contribution. Talking to the President, we were talking about the President held the weights this year and the next year. He didn't want to reach any acquired right, reducing wages, but accepted that there was sharing. There were people, governors asking for resources and using it because it was a year of elections. What we did, President called the governors, President of the Chamber, President of the Senate, and we enter in agreement. And the resources not provided will have to go to help, to show to the public opinion and also the employees. There were employees that complained about that because the public opinion is asking for more. The question, in fact, is telling, why is it not cut? If the Supreme Court is not wrong of keeping wage when everybody is losing, I thought it was a right action. People asking to be cutting 25% to show it was part of the sacrifice. But on the other hand, there were people asking for a lot of things that I don't know. We just give the medals after the war. The war is starting. We cannot give medals now. Okay. We would not have the increase and we not have the fall. Let's keep this wage for 2 years. Zé Maria, the Supreme Court decided that it cannot fall. No state wanted to reduce. It cannot, but I ask. And if the collection falls, if it falls, we will continue to pay in full. The public opinion look at it and thinks that it's a privilege kept. The public opinion thinks that. And I'm reporting we are facing a problem before it and telling we cannot increase wages. We can, maybe we not decrease, but we cannot increase wages. But now the Supreme Court is telling you cannot reduce, not even the work junior. I think the public opinion think it's not a good evaluation, but on the other hand, I think that constitutionally they are assuring a right to wage. More questions? What happens? It's an utopia. There's no money. There's no water getting the... If we stay 6 months, 1 year, we first stopped, then we don't even have wages to be paid. Another question? Fusa. One other question. Minister Paulo Guedes, pandemic interrupted a great reformation of the federative pact that would regulate the entire fiscal issue of Brazil for a whole time. How will we retake this agenda? Which changes can be made in the next month so we can retake this essential agenda for the country? People like you asking, I will need 1 hour to answer. Spectacular questions. Feels that it's vital. Our focus was first in the control of expenses. Three great ones. The pension fund reformation, then interests. We reduced the debt, we locked the expenses, and the interest fell. We saved a lot with interests. The privilege of the the pension fund we saved, we were spending a lot and badly. We cut these expenses in this bad dimension, excess of privileges, interests, young people living from the pension fund, and the wages of the civil servant. 50% over the inflation in 70 years. It's like a royalty regarding the rest of the country. Everybody now can see that besides stability in the job, the privileges of the pension fund, it's not suffering from wage loss. What did we do? We had this reformation agenda. We had to deviate from the structuring renovations to emergential aid. But now we're just announcing the emergential aid. President will expand. We had 3 months to 600, another 3 months going down, 500, 400, and then we come back to our reformation program. We made sanitation. We'll do now the sharing for concession, oil concession, natural gas, electric sector. We will unlock the investments of the country because the priority order has changed. The Federative Pact, which was a priority, this year we gave so much more than the states and cities received. In few months, we gave 50% what Bolsa Família has paid since 2014. 50% more than they gave in many years. In a month, it is equal to more than the budget of a whole year. The Bolsa Família program from the whole world is, we are expending 50 million per month with this emergency aid. The priorities has changed. The priority now is job and income. We are now the green-yellow program to create a universe of invisible workers. 30 million invisible workers, citizens that has never asked anything to the government. Now we'll create a ramp of social ascension. Labor reform is not a legislation. It's a legislation to stop mass unemployment. The priority is generating jobs. We need opening new horizons of investment in natural gas, cheap electricity, tax reform, make food accessible to the population, you can buy stove and freezer. We want to make the prices of these things down. The tax reform, regulatory landmark of investment, we will go for it. Brazil will surprise the world. The pension fund reform, nobody thought it would be possible this year. During the pandemic, the Congress is working. Everybody's there working. They approved sanitation now, driver's license. We will surprise. Brazil will surprise. It's a brave people. We will pierce both waves and we'll win. Another question? Minister, good night. businessmen are complaining about the difficulty to assess the credit lines made available for the federal government. Managers are in difficulty to get this money. What's the situation, Minister? Was there any problem to release this money? What is the forecast for the solution? We're talking the truth. There was a problem. Our credit lines had an unsatisfactory performance. The best team, more sophisticated, this group, Pedro from Caixa Econômica, Campos from Central Bank, a big team, a dream team. But sometimes the wind comes and the ball makes a curve and the other team makes the scores. We are following, perfectioning it. It didn't work well because the banks were holding the resources. We started to make it with the payroll. It was not satisfactory, and then we created another program, spectacular one. The first time the federal revenue for the micro entrepreneur, 3,200,000 small entrepreneurs. They were complaining the money was not arriving. The federal revenue calls them in and say, you made the payment of the taxes, you came here and you get 30% of the monthly income, go to the Caixa Econômica Federal Bank and get your money. We improved. 200,000 are registered. We are improving the whole time, but I agree that the initial performance was not satisfactory. In field, we had Real Madrid, Barcelona, and we lost for small teams. We are turning the table now. The Ministry of Education cheers for Botafogo team. I didn't have influence on that. Decotelli was professor 20 years ago, and then again 10 years ago. I know Decotelli is a very good choice of you. I didn't say anything. President just talks through WhatsApp, and then he decides. If I start to say things, my problem is increasing, so I was quiet. When the names appear, there's so many information in social media, some talking bad, some talking good things. When I chose the minister, if you want to know about the life of your neighbor, for example, you just plant some information, then fastly all his life, everything he did will appear for you. Since 5 years old. Época magazine, 3 years, made something Eldorado. In Época magazine 3 years ago about me, that I used to go naked in the streets, talking about, in calling a neighbor of mine a fat woman. I don't remember this, if it's true or not, but from 5 years old, you cannot refrain anyone from know everything about your life. When I was 5 years old, this is a health agenda. We're going well. The management is incredible, never seen in history of Brazil. We know he's not a doctor, but he has a fantastic background in health. Many of you want us to put a doctor, but a doctor is hardly a manager. Let's see. 1 hour of live stream, Facebook 70,000. Victor Brown, Zé Maria Fiuza, thank you for sharing our sign. Victor Brown, just selling, it's not stopped. They announced in the program yesterday, we are studying a bonus. A small person that got a loan, paid well, could recover your company, pay his taxes. He's a small one, but he's paying taxes. We can give him a bonus for good payment. It's possibly we are studying it for the small ones, and I was misinterpreted in the last meeting because what did I say? When it's a big company, like a air company, will earn money, but he has to pay us. But if it's a small companies, we're not earn money. I didn't say that we wouldn't give the money. I said that we would give and we would lose. We know that we're giving the money so he can try to survive. 50, 60 will survive when you help. 20, 30 maybe cannot make it. We'll have to run the risk to lose the money for the small ones. Saving a whale, an elephant. The government will have a piece of this animal and take home. It was misinterpreted. With the big one, we earn money. With the small one, we don't earn money. But we will give money to them. If the small one pay the loan, we'll give him a bonus. We'll pay tax the whole life. Why you bored the guy? We are studying this. Can we close it? We are closing it. The ones connected to us can go to the other channels. That's it. So thank you very much to be here, for following our life, and I see you next Thursday. A hug to you all.